singular thing of many parts, which is complete in the making of one particular item. Me being a new father, and my baby girl is here now, it was my job in her preparation to put together all her stuff.
Yes, it was.
So
yes,
it was
my
job to put the strollers, car seats, cribs, paint the room, do all this other stuff in preparation for her arrival.
That's it.
And all this stuff that I was doing came with some instructions.
All right, come on.
And if you had to pull it out of the box or the packaging that it came with 1,000 pieces.
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
And in the instruction manual, it always said, make sure that you have all the pieces before you begin the assembly.
All right.
So when you're dealing with God and when we're dealing with the body of Christ that is, you have to understand that we're dealing with one unit that is made up of many parts that comes together to make one thing, in this case, the body. So you have to use all the pieces that come together to form one particular thing. In my case, it was a crib, a swing, a bouncy, strollers, all this other kind of stuff, but the instructions that they gave also came with a picture. So what happened is when you wasn't sure if you was putting this thing together right, what you would do is you would refer back to the picture to make sure that what you was doing lined up with what the picture was doing. Because if you look at the picture, this is what I'm aiming for. I'm trying to get all these pieces to look something like that, like what I see on the picture. So understand this, church, that when you're the body and you have many pieces, what you got to do is refer back to the instructions. You got to refer back to the instruction manual.
That's
to
it.
make sure that what you're aiming for looks something like the instructions that was given in the manual. So before we begin our assembly, we first got to make sure that we got all of our pieces. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to do like I did on many occasions, get halfway through the project and figure out that you're missing some pieces. Like I'm the only one that done that before. Like you done got halfway finished with something and say, I know I seen it somewhere around it. No, this ain't it. That okay, that don't go with that. Okay, something wrong. And see, when you a man like I'm a man, you know you got pride. The last thing you want to do is go back and tell your wife, say, I can't fix this. I don't know what I'm doing. So as men, what we would do, you know, somebody help me, you get some super glue, you get some duct tape, it's gonna go together. Some way or another, I'm gonna put this thing together. If I got to glue it, stick it together, add some crazy glue, something, it's gonna go together. Well, see, the problem is why the church is working on doing something. What we're not doing is referring back to the instructions. We're not referring back to the scripture. We're not referring back to our Bibles to see if what we're doing looks like what God wants us to do. And all these pieces that we have to find a way to form this body, this unit. What we got to do is figure out if we can identify the pieces that come together to make up the body. Because when you have all these pieces, what you don't understand is that when you get certain pieces and you don't know what they go to. Y'all man, like y'all know what I'm talking about in here. See, what happens is when you have certain pieces that just don't fit.
Yeah.
Because if you do like I do, you put all your pieces in the floor.
My
you
God.
sit among the pieces and you try to watch the instructions and say, okay, this is part A, and part A is supposed to go with part B and part C, and you got to make sure you got everything. But what happens is later on down the line, after you done put your project together, you be walking through the house and you mess around and kick something, and you look down and you say, what the word did this go to? How did I miss this? And then what you're trying to figure out is I don't recognize the piece and I don't know what it goes to. What I'm trying to help you understand is that we have some pieces in ministry that we can't identify.
My God.
We have some persons in ministry that we can't identify whether or not they belong to our body or if they belong to another body. You're going to help me here this morning this evening because what's going to happen is you got to understand that if you're not recognizable as a piece of the body, then you ain't really a part of the body. Amen. When people see you, they ought to recognize that you are a part of the body of Christ. Now, you ain't got to walk around with a sign on your chest, but just by the way you carry yourself, just by the way you speak, just by the way you walk, people ought to be able to recognize that you belong with the body of Christ. Because you have to understand that without the body, the pieces are no good.
That's it.
Well, without the pieces, then the body is no good. What happens is you get a drawer like I got in my house. I got this one little drawer and it has all these pieces. It's got screws, it's got nuts, it's got bolts, it's got washers, it's got screwdrivers, ratchets, and all this other kind of stuff. And what happens is all these pieces once belonged to something.
That's
but
it.
Now they just miscellaneous pieces because I have no idea where they came from. You see, because in the move, when we moved from one house, we moved and we started taking things apart, and all these pieces came from something. But then when we got to the new house, we put everything together, we wind up with all these pieces.
Extra. Yes, sir. Yes,
So what
sir.
happens is I got a lot of miscellaneous pieces. They once belonged to something, but now I can't figure out where I got them from. Because the body, the unit, this singular thing that is a complete thing. We got all these pieces, but that ain't the problem. The issue is we got to fit the pieces together to form the unit.
My God.
Now sometimes we gonna figure it out that we're gonna have too many pieces. You ever been working on something and find out that in the packaging they sent you too many pieces?
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes they have the pieces that are on the instruction, but then they have this another little set of pieces that are extra just in case you lose a screw or two.
That's it.
See, what happens is when you got everything that you need and you put your unit together, you put this body together, you realize that you got some extra pieces. The scripture says it like this around verse 12. It said, though it's parts, there are many in parts. So all the pieces are supposed to fit to something.
That's it.
But if they don't fit to something, if they don't belong to something, then they're not a part of the body. So they fit something. They're supposed to go somewhere, but because they're extra pieces, they may not be meant to fit this particular thing. Let me help somebody. There's a lot of bodies in the body of Christ.
That's it.
But just because you have bodies, that don't necessarily mean that they fit here.
My
that don't
God.
necessarily mean that they fit this ministry. That don't necessarily mean that they fit the ministry that they're trying to work in. Because you can have a lot of bodies, but sometimes you can have too many pieces.
That's it.
Let me help you a little bit further. See, if you got too many pieces, some things you got to understand is that when you get extra pieces, they get mixed up with the right pieces.
Come on.
A lot of the pieces, but the pieces must fit something.
That's it.
There's only a certain amount that you're supposed to have. When you're dealing with the body, you're only supposed to have 2 legs, 2 arms, 1 head. But see, if you mess around, you see somebody that got 3 legs, something is wrong.
That's it.
See, you can get away with 2 legs because that's normal. We see 2 legs on the regular. And sometimes there's a situation where sometimes you may have to take away a leg. And so you see 1 leg, well, that's okay. You can still get away with the 1 leg. But if you see 3, something is wrong.
Something wrong. That's it.
Because you got a lot of pieces involved. You got 1 too many pieces. I want to help you understand something. If you have too many of them, then what you got to figure out is where do these pieces belong. Sometimes you got to figure out who belongs and who doesn't. Now wait a minute, preacher, you trying to tell me that certain people can't come to church, that certain people can't come to worship? No, I'm not telling you this. What I'm trying to tell you is that when you come to worship, when you come to a ministry, what you got to do is you got to allow God to put you in the place where you're supposed to be. You can't just show up and say, I'm supposed to be over here. No. The scripture says that your gift will make room for you.
Yes, sir.
See, you got to try the spirit by the spirit to understand that the spirit of discernment place you in the place where you're supposed to be. You can't just show up and pick and choose where you want to be. I have a problem with certain people that run down to the altar, tears all in their eyes, snot falling everywhere. They roll around on the floor. They got tissue. They got these blankets. They trying to cover folk up, folks shouting, knocking over chairs, all this different kind of stuff. And then next Sunday they want to preach.
My
I
God.
have a problem with that because if God has not called you to preach, that necessarily might not be your part of the ministry.
That's it.
They may have already have preachers lined up, people who have been called by God. But if God did not call you to preach, you can't just jump in line and say, I'm preaching next Sunday. It's my turn, Pastor. No, that's not the situation. Because sometimes you got to let God put you in the place where you're supposed to be.
That's good.
Too many pieces.
Too many.
Back in the day, when you would get sick,
Yeah.
I'm talking about the body. Sometimes the body gets sick.
That's it.
When you used to get sick back in the day, grandma used to say, ain't nothing wrong with you. You just need some working medicine.
Yes.
See, I never knew what working medicine was until I was about 8 years old. It was this little bottle. It was like black or brown, and they didn't have no label on it. And it had
Cholesterol.
like this liquid stuff in it. You didn't really know what it was. All you know is they kept it in the medicine cabinet, and they didn't pull it out, but every now and then.
Yeah.
So when grandma would say stuff like, you need some working medicine, that usually meant somebody in the house was sick.
Yeah.
So when the body gets sick, what sickness is that you have germs inside your body.
My God.
You have things inside the body that does not belong. And if you have something in the body that does not belong, what happens is it will stop the body from functioning properly.
Yes, it will.
If the body does not function properly, the pieces that don't fit are now unfamiliar, or they are germs to the body. And if you have germs in the body, what happens is you can cause an infection in the body.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
The germs, the infection in the body, what it does is it slowly breaks down the body, because the body will begin to lose strength in certain places where it is now infected by the germs. In other words, if you have the wrong people in the wrong place when it comes to ministry, what happens is those wrong persons can be the germ in the body of Christ.
My
and
God.
they can begin to break down the entire ministry if they are still in the wrong place. Just like termites will begin to attack the foundation of a house. If you leave the termites there long enough without treatment, what happens is the whole house falls down.
Come on now.
You see, when you're working with the working medicine, Grandma used to give the working medicine because the working medicine would clean out the germs. Y'all ain't never had no working medicine in here before. See, what happens is when you get sick and Grandma give you the working medicine,
My God.
she would say stuff like, okay, baby, if you feel like you got to break wind, you might want to go to the bathroom. What she trying to tell you is that the working medicine is now in your system.
Yes.
So when you used to just break wind and all it was just a little funky smell, this time when you break wind, you getting ready to release all those germs out of the body, all of those things that don't belong. Now you're getting ready to clean the body out.
Yes.
And get rid of these things that are causing an infection in the body. Maybe the body needs a spiritual X-lax.
My God.
I'm teaching good in here. Maybe you need a spiritual X-lax when it comes to the ministry.
Yeah, yeah.
We're talking about the body. Because if it stays in the body too long, what happens is what was just a head cold, what was just a few germs, can now become cancerous to the body.
Yeah.
If you know anything about cancer, you know cancer don't stay in one place. If it goes without treatment, what happens is the doctor will say the cancer has now spread.
That's it.
And when you was affected in one place, it was a small spot they saw. But if you leave it there long enough, it can affect the whole body, even to the point of death. So what I'm trying to tell you is that a small piece of cancer can affect ministry in a small way. But
My
if you leave it there
God.
long enough, it can tear down the whole house. I'm teaching good in here.
Yes, sir.
The thing about cancer is that it affects not only one part, but the entire body. In order for the body to be strong, to be functioning right, all the pieces have to be together. In other words, you have to have all the right pieces, and there's no room for anything extra. Understand this, tell your neighbor, we are one body.
We are one body.
Now, all the pieces must be on the same page. In other words, they have to be on one accord.
That's it.
In order to be a strong body, the members, the pieces, have got to know who they are.
Yes, that's true.
My
If you are
God.
part of the body, then you got to know which part you are.
That's it.
They got to know that the steps of that if you are the foot of the body, then you got to know that the foot, your steps should be ordered by the Lord. Watch how we work the body. We're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. If you are the feet, then you got to know every place you tread, that you're not just treading by yourself. When the feet move, the whole body moves.
My God.
They're not going by themselves. You're taking the body with you. So if you're treading in the wrong place at the wrong time, what you're doing is you're taking the ministry in the wrong place
At the wrong time. Come on now.
The feet have to be in tune with God in order to know where they're taking the body. Because see, the feet have to understand when it's time to flee from danger. The feet have to understand when there's danger seen and unseen. The feet have to have this distinctive ability to know that you're running a race for the Lord. And when you're running a race for the Lord, you got to understand that it's not given to the swift nor the strong.
That's
But
it.
you got to understand that the feet have to be able to endure some things until the end of the race. You got to understand that when you're part of the body, when you are the feet, you have to understand that this is your ministry.
My God.
Somebody got to be a part of the foot ministry. Somebody got to understand that after the feet comes the legs. You have to understand that when you're part of the leg ministry, you have to be determined to take the ministry higher. You don't hear me here. I said the legs have to be determined to take the ministry higher. Because legs are what provides the ministry with leaping ability. You have to understand that the legs are the essential part of the feet that helps you run the race. So that way, when you're walking the walk of faith, not only do you need feet, but you also need the legs. You need leg ministry because the legs have to be the strong part of the body. You got to not only be strong enough to stand, but you got to be strong enough to kick some foolishness out of the way.
Yeah.
You got to be strong enough to kick some stuff out of the way of the ministry when you're trying to go forward and there's things in your path. The feet and the legs got to be on one accord to say, this ain't going to stop me today. The feet and the legs have to be on the same page because when there are hurdles in your way, when there are obstacles in your way, the feet and the leg got to know how to step over the hurdles. You have to understand that the leg ministry is the foundation of the church. You have to understand that the leg understand the fundamental principles of God, which makes the entire body able to stand.
My
you
God.
got to understand that the legs are what are going to take you to the next level. The legs are what's going to carry you to the next destination in God. Because without the legs, the body can't move.
That's
Somebody
good.
got
Yeah.
the leg ministry in here.
My God.
I'm teaching good. I'm teaching real good.
Yes, you are.
Understand that after the leg ministry, you're going to have to deal with the core ministry. Now, if you're working out and you know something about working out, they tell you that if you have a strong core,
Yeah.
then the rest of the body will be strong. You see, when you have a strong core, the core part of the body is hidden. People don't often see the core because the core is made up of things that are not attached to the legs or the arms. The core usually deals with the organs, usually deal with the internal things. The things that one person can't see is behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You see, but the legs and the feet are one part of the ministry, but the core is the hidden part of the ministry. And sometimes the core is more important than anything else.
Yeah.
You have to understand that when you're dealing with the core ministry, it is the abdominal muscles, it is the belly, it is the lower back. So if you have to be a part of the core ministry, that means that your core has to be tough. Your core has to be tough because if you're a part of the belly, that means you're going to have to be tougher than everybody else because you're going to have to stomach some stuff that some folk can't deal with.
My God.
Good God Almighty, you got to have a strong stomach to be a part of the core. You're going to have to be in situations where some folk can't deal, some folk can't take it, some folks' stomach will turn, but you got to be tough enough than all these other people. You can't have a weak stomach and say that you're part of the core. You got to be able to handle the stuff that everybody else can't deal with.
Yes.
You don't have to be able to step up and have a backbone when ain't nobody else got a backbone. See, old school used to say it like this: you got to have a strong back because you may bend, but you won't break.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with the core, you got to be so strong within your belly. You got to be so strong within your back that you got to understand that when there's work to be done for the ministry, not only are you gonna step up and do the work, but you're gonna put your back into it.
Yes.
With ministry, it's gonna take more than just showing up on Sunday and Wednesday. You're gonna have to do some things behind the scene that people ain't gonna be able to see. See, when you're dealing with the core, you're dealing with the lungs, you're dealing with the heart. And you have to understand when you're dealing with the heart, a lot of times people don't see the work that the heart of a ministry puts in. A lot of people don't see the work that the lungs will put in. But if you want to be a part of the body, if you want the body to be better, what you need to do is you need to have a strategical plan in place and make sure that your core is strong.
Woo, that's good.
I like talking about the core because it deals with the hidden things. When you're dealing with hidden things, like we talk about the heart in the body is always working. Even when ain't nobody else around, even when ain't nobody else doing their end, the heart is always working. Understand that when your body is asleep, your legs and your arms may stop, but the heart is still working.
Yes.
Ain't got no help in here. You have to understand that the heart keeps pumping even when ain't nobody else working.
That's it.
See, the heart of the body supplies the blood flow. Understand that when you're part of the heart, you're not only extending the blood flow to the heart, but you're extending blood flow to the entire body. I'm trying to tell somebody that when you're the heart, you will have to extend some prayers that ain't for you.
That's
You have
it.
to send out some prayers to some other areas in ministry that ain't got absolutely nothing to do with you.
That's
You ain't
it.
even over there. You don't know them folk. But you got to send out some distribution. You got to distribute the blood of Jesus to other parts of the body to make sure that the entire body stays strong.
My God.
You're going to learn how to plead the blood over other areas in ministry. This is how the heart works. It's pumping blood. It's pumping life into the body. So if the blood does not reach every area of the body, if there are certain limbs that don't get their proper supply of blood, what will happen is that the limbs will die.
Yes, sir.
And if the limbs die, what happens is those limbs become useless. they have very, very low blood circulation. And what happens is when you have limbs that are useless, what the doctors will tell you is we're going to have to amputate.
My
We're gonna have to
God.
take some things off. So now what you have done, because the blood has not been pumped to certain areas of the ministry, because the heart failed to get blood to certain areas of the ministry, and the amputation has taken place, what you have now done is allowed the body to become handicapped.
Ooh,
If the body is
Jesus.
handicapped, then it's not a fully functional body. And you're trying to figure out why the ministry ain't moving forward. Well, we had to slow down a little bit because some things got cut off.
My
You're
God.
dealing with the core. You're dealing with internal things, like the lungs. Understand that the lungs take in oxygen that the body needs.
That's
It
it.
must have oxygen.
That's it.
Understand that the lungs release oxygen. Release things that the body does not need. And sometimes, when you're dealing with ministry, it get a little stuffy in the inside. It get a little uptight. You get a little, congested. You can't breathe. So sometimes the lungs have to release some things so that you can feel better in ministry. The lungs have to be able to bring in fresh air to the ministry. Help the ministry inhale, exhale some things. When you're running this race, the lungs have to be able to supply the air that the body needs in order to run. In other words, the body needs air, so the lungs are in charge of the breathing technique that the body needs to be sure that we don't give out while we're running this race. To be sure that we don't pass out while we're running this race. When you're dealing with the core, you're dealing with things unseen. When you're dealing with things that are unseen, a lot of times we deal with the bladder. Anybody know something about the bladder?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
bladder is when you have to relieve yourself.
That's it.
It's a dirty job, but
Somebody got to do it. That's it.
The bladder is the filter system. Watch how we work the body. When you're dealing with the bladder is in charge of distributing or getting rid of some things that the body doesn't need. Because what happens is when you're taking in food that the body needs, the body will take the nutrition and the vitamins and all the things that it needs, and it will take those things in. But then there's this extra stuff that the body does not need. And it's the job of the bladder to get rid of the extra stuff, because remember we talked about cancer. So if the extra stuff stays inside the body and the body does not need it, what happens is this extra stuff becomes poisonous. And this poisonous stuff begins to work on your bladder, and you feel like you need a release.
That's it.
You feel like you gotta let some things go. That's why certain people get antsy when they gotta go to the bathroom. That's why you see people crossing their legs, turning sideways, all in their chair. They be all hunched over like this. They don't feel too comfortable because they're uncomfortable, because there's some things in the body that ain't supposed to be there.
My
When you
God.
got things in your body that ain't supposed to be there, what you're doing is you're holding something in that the body wants to get rid of. It's gonna come out whether you want it to or not.
That's
But
it.
what you gotta understand is you gotta get confident enough in God to know that when there's some things that need to be let go, you just gotta let it go. I'm trying to tell somebody, stop holding on to stuff that God really don't want to be a part of the ministry. See, you so caught up in traditional. That's what's wrong with the church today. We don't want to let go of some old stuff that God is trying to get rid of so we can bring in some new stuff.
That's
See,
it.
but you got to understand that when you're releasing from the bladder, this is a natural process. It is meant for this stuff to come out. But see, you're so busy worried about folk. You're so busy worried about what people think about you. But when it's time to let some stuff go, just go ahead and excuse yourself. And don't worry about what nobody else thinks. Go ahead and let it out. What you trying to say, preacher? I'm trying to say sometimes you got to put that finger up like you in the old church.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, but I got to go relieve myself. We got Alfred in the bathroom. I already checked. So go ahead and relieve yourself. Go ahead and get rid of some things that's been stopping the ministry from going forward. Go ahead and release some things that's been making ministry uncomfortable. Because as soon as you get free in God, as soon as you get comfortable enough to praise and worship Him freely, that's when the doors will start opening up. That's why back in the day they call it relieving yourself. Because afterwards, when you get through with it, you feel better. Old school used to say it like this: I feel so much better now that I laid my burdens down. Somebody just say, glory, glory, hallelujah. There's a reason to praise Him after you let some stuff go. But see, we so busy trying to hold on to stuff that really don't belong in the ministry.
Yes, that's all right.
When you're dealing with the body, we move from the core, we start dealing with the arms. The arms are an extension of the body.
My God.
In order for us to reach new heights, we need arms that are going to pull people in. See, I'm in a hurry for baby girl. I don't want to grow too fast, but I'm in a hurry for her to reach that stage where she start recognizing stuff that she want and she start reaching. And it may be a little selfish, but I'm waiting on her to be in mama's arms and she see me and she start reaching. Because that gonna make mama mad, but that's just me. But I'm trying to help you understand that when the arms are reaching out, they're reaching out to pull some things in that God wants to be in the ministry.
My
See,
God.
there are some things that we are lacking in ministry. And what we need are some arms to draw some folk, to draw some things in. But the problem is that when we get these people, when we get these things drawn in, we need strong arms that are going to be able to wrap themselves around these very things and produce the very love that we need to keep these things inside the ministry. See, many times we get folk that come in the ministry, but then when they come in here, they don't feel the love that they need to feel, and they go right back out the door. But see, if we got the arms of love that'll wrap around somebody, we can keep the things in ministry that we need to keep. Now, the arms are not always for brainstorming. Sometimes the arms are meant to keep some things away. Sometimes you got to extend the arms long enough to say, listen, this foolishness ain't got no business in our ministry. We got to stop. So sometimes you just got to strong arm some stuff and say, hold up, bro, hold up. No, not today. We're not dealing with that foolishness in here, because see, when you're in God's ministry, there's some stuff that you can't just let in.
Amen.
It's some folk you just can't let in. I'm just gonna keep it all the way 100 with you. Some folk want to come in and start some mess. Some folk want to come in and start some stuff. But what you gotta do is you gotta have that spirit of discernment. Somebody got to be the arms of the ministry and say, look, we not dealing with that up in here. It should have to wait until the rich pastor or the first lady or somebody to come in here, and then we gotta have a meeting, and then we gotta figure out how we gonna get folk out. Somebody ought to have the spirit of discernment that before we even get to the head, somebody gotta extend the arms and say, look, we ain't finna put up with this mess, not up in here today. But see, understand that it's not always about these body parts that you always see. Like we talked about the core and the hidden things. Sometimes it ain't gonna be a bone. Sometimes it's not gonna be a limb that's gonna be the strong point of the ministry. Sometimes you're gonna have to be a ligament. You know, when you think about ligaments are small muscles that are attached to bones that help certain pieces of the body be connected to one another. Without ligaments, the limbs can't function. Folk get mad because they're not a major part of the body.
Amen.
People get attitudes and get upset because they're not a major limb. But you have to understand that we don't always need a limb. Sometimes we need a ligament. Sometimes we need strong ligaments that are going to hold these limbs together. Sometimes we need these strong little bitty pieces of the body that don't nobody see behind the scenes, that's going to hold everything together so that the entire body can function. If you ever worked out, you like sports and all that other kind of type of stuff, sometimes you'll see these ball players, football, basketball, and all these people, they'll get injuries, and then they'll start naming stuff that you ain't never heard of. They'll say so-and-so tore his ACL. What that is? Somebody tore an MCL. What is that? It's these small little ligaments that are so tiny that when they get ready to repair it for surgery, they got to take microscopes and all these small kind of cameras and get inside the body to find out what this stuff even is before they can even repair it, because it's not a major part of the body. It's not something big enough that people are able to recognize. But it's so small and it's so important that if you tear a small ligament, it'll shut the whole body down. Somebody got to be a ligament in this place. You have to understand that when you're dealing with the body, you have to have certain parts. Somebody has got to be a support system for the head.
That's it.
Somebody's got to be a neck piece up in here. Now, I know the neck don't get a whole lot of attention because the neck, sometimes people don't really associate the neck with the head, but understand that the head can't move
Without that neck, that's it.
Somebody got to be in charge of helping the head go left, go right, turn around, upside down, and all this other kind of stuff. But see, if ain't nobody willing to be a neck, because neck don't get a whole lot of popularity. Everybody want to be the head, but they ain't ready to be the neck. They ain't ready to be the arms. They ain't ready to be the leg. Ain't nobody want to be the ligaments. But in order for the entire body to function, we need a strong head, which need a support system. Somebody's got to be the neck. In order for you to have a strong body, you got to have a strong head.
Amen.
You got to have shoulders to hold up the neck and the head. In order to have a strong head, you're going to need somebody who can think strategically. You're going to need somebody that won't jump in head first without thinking things through. You got to have somebody that's going to analyze the situation and examine the problem before they get the ministry involved. The head has to be sound and rational, making rational decisions. The head has to be responsible for the other members of the body. The head has to keep the body in line, but with meekness, and have to keep the body together so that it is focused on God and properly functioning. In order to have an effective head, the body has to do its job.
Amen.
Because
My
one
God.
of the most important parts of the head is the brain.
Yes.
And the brain has all these different type of parts and so many different things going on that it has its own job.
Yes.
And if the brain has a job that keeps the entire body in line, then the brain don't have time to worry about what the rest of the body doing.
That's
Because
it.
the rest of the body has to take care of their situation so that the head can take care of the whole body.
Amen.
The head ain't got time to do this job, somebody else's job, when it has its own job to do.
Yes.
If the head has to stop performing its duties to pick up the slack where somebody else left off, to pick up the slack where somebody else dropped the ball, then there's going to be a breakdown in the body.
Yes.
Because when the body is not functioning properly, it is up to the head to be able to figure out where the situation or where the problem is.
My God.
In order for the body to reach its full capability,
All right.
people going to have to be on their job.
That's it.
Because when something breaks down in the body, everybody look around and want to know
Amen.
what's going on.
Amen.
What happened with so and so?
Yeah.
What such and such do? But see, it ain't the head part to figure out what such and such ain't doing.
That's right.
It's the job of the person in that particular ministry to hold their own. If the head gets worked up or overworked trying to figure out what everybody else doing, what happens is you can form what is a headache.
Amen.
And if you know anything about a headache can come from many different things.
That's it.
It can come from being hungry. You can be tired. You can be hot one minute, cold one minute, and this can trigger a headache. You can be frustrated. You may eat something that's bad for you, and it may cause a headache.
Amen.
But a headache comes from problems that started somewhere else in the body. And the brain is now trying to figure out what went wrong somewhere else.
Yeah.
The brain is doing double duty trying to do its job and trying to do somebody else's job. And then when the ministry fall off, when they start slacking a little bit, everybody looks to the head like,
Yes.
what's
What
going on?
happened? Yeah.
But the head is trying to pick up the slack where somebody else left off. So what's happening is we don't have a fully functioning body because the other pieces ain't holding their stuff together. So now everybody look to the head, everybody look to the brain of the situation and trying to figure out what's going on. But the brain trying to figure out what's going on because all the other stuff below the brain was supposed to be taken care of. You got people in place that's supposed to do what they were supposed to do. And as long as they take care of their business, then the head can take care of the head business. But if the head got to take care of your business and his business, something gonna go wrong.
That's right.
My God. That's good.
I'm getting ready to go. Let me help you real quick. When you're dealing with the body,
Mm-hmm.
certain pieces of the body or certain things of the body, we know there are certain limbs and stuff that we can recognize and identify. Now, somebody may get upset and say, well, you didn't call out my part of the ministry. You didn't call out my body part. You didn't call out my limb. But in research, I find out that there's 206 bones in the body.
My God.
642 skeletal muscles, 7,500 named body parts that we know of. Not mentioning the specialized cells, tissues, and parts of the brain and organs. In other words, it's room for everybody. There's a place in ministry for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But people get bent out of shape because they can't do what they want to do.
All right.
If the body did what it wanted to do, then we wouldn't have a body.
Yes.
Because everybody can't do one thing or two things. Somebody got to be spread out amongst the body to be able to feel all the functioning parts of the body.
Yes.
In other words, the scripture said like this, your gift will make room for you. So if you have a gift or you have a talent, sometimes we miss our gift or talent because we want somebody else's gift. We want somebody else's spot when we supposed to be over here and we trying to be over here.
My
Don't
God.
get mad because they say, well, you know, I don't do nothing but come in here and sit down every day. I'm just sitting here. I amen the pastor. And, you know, they ain't never asked me to do nothing. They ain't never gave me a microphone. Ain't nobody never called my name. But see, sometimes you got to be that hidden piece of the body that don't get called out all the time.
That's it.
Sometimes you got to be that hidden piece of the body that's holding everything together that don't nobody know about. But see, you're essential in ministry. You're a very important part of the body. So what you got to do is stay in prayer with God and figure out what your part of ministry is supposed to be. Maybe you're a part of the ministry that we ain't even found out about yet.
That's
Maybe
it.
you're that part of the body that we don't even have no name for. All we know is that without this piece of the body, we cannot function. We don't know a name for it. We don't know what it's called. We don't know exactly what it's supposed to do. do. But if you will bring your gift, if you will bring your talent, somebody has a part of ministry that we are lacking. You remember back a couple of months ago, we talked about we supposed to go to the nations. We supposed to be on TV. We supposed to do all this other stuff. But we ain't even effective right here where we at. We jump, holler, scream within these four walls. But then when we go outside, ain't nobody doing effective ministry. You see, what happens is we have a dysfunctioning body. We want to go to the nations, but we ain't even took over Ozark Street yet. We still got people walking up and down the street that we ain't even invited to church. Folk come by here 2 or 3 times a week. They stop at the car wash. They wash their car. They turn their music up. Ain't nobody invited nobody in here. We standing outside and during the summer, we had the outdoor services. Folk ride up and down. They looking. Everybody trying to figure out what's going on, but ain't nobody stopping coming in the church. We got pieces of the puzzle that we just letting fly by. But we need these pieces to be essential in the body because we have a ministry that needs all these pieces to the body.
My God.
Amen. I'm done. You know, if you didn't get it, I got notes for you. I'll let you see the notes. Amen. But if you ain't get nothing else, this evening I want you to understand that as a body, we all are very important.
Yes.
I know sometimes you come in here and you only see a few people.